Hey, what is up everyone? This is Jake Hofer with Exodus Trail Cameras. On this week's episode of Whitetail Cribs, we are going back to our most recent trip in Iowa, and we are visiting with a longtime customer, Austin Maas. We reached out to him. He said, sure, come on over, and I'm glad we did. There is a ton of great bucks and some awesome stories, and they have some hunters come through and hunt some of their farms, and you get to see the basically wall of fame and see all the deer that they've killed from over the years. And just a really cool episode. We hope you guys enjoy it. And if you do, just be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And let's go ahead and get into this week's episode.
How's it going? I'm Austin Maas. Welcome to the lodge. This is Brady Smith. He's one of our top guys around here. Been with us a long time, good buddy, and he's gonna tell you some stories about some of the deer, some of the pictures. This is my son, my oldest boy, Blaze Maas, and he's got some stories to tell you too. But I'll show you around. Come on in. Kitchen here, pretty basic, pretty simple. We laid a few sheds out for you, and this is what we found this year. Just actually a couple days ago, went on a 2-day shed hunt, and we I think we're up to like 77 for the year, but got some good prospects. Things are looking good next year. So while we're in the kitchen, there's a lot of things in the lodge that are pretty special to me. And, you see some caribou horns and some moose antlers. Never been up north hunting any of those, but my grandmother loved it in Alaska, took a lot of trips up there, and she would always buy something and bring them back, and that's what those are. So we probably should talk about this ugly little rat. So we got some Texas guys that come up and hunt with us every now and then, and they're always telling us to get back down there and hunt with them. And first javelina I ever killed. So we'll show you around the living room, one of the living rooms here. Got some piles of sheds. Kind of keep some of our better ones on the top here. We got the cross buck, obviously for the cross brow tine there. Kind of unique. Never caught up with that deer, unfortunately. A lot of these deer we never caught up with. So this horn here, believe it or not, is the first shed I ever picked up, or that I can ever recall picking up. I was out baling hay, and of all things, this shed was stuck completely in the ground. Tractor had been over it, just seen the main beam, pulled it out, cleaned it up a little. Going through the hay mower, he lost some length here. Heck of a deer. Kind of propelled me to want to go find more shed antlers. So we got a chest set here that the same grandmother brought back from one of her excursions, so kind of special to us. Got a little bit of Don Higgins reed material. Can't beat that. So talk about a few of the heads here. This deer was me and a good buddy kind of tag teamed this deer to get him down, and this is early on when I probably did a lot more hunting when I was younger in my youth, so special deer to me there. This one, although not that big of a deer at all, maybe one of my more memorable deer, public land deer. Shot him from the ground with a bow, still hunting, and it's obviously kind of tough. So way back in there, gutted the deer, hung him from a tree that night, had to come back the next day with some buddies and get him out, and just a lot of memories, a lot of stories on that deer. So this going on to this deer. This is the second deer I ever killed with a bow. Called him rattle. I think it was the first deer I ever rattled in right to the base of the tree, and pretty special to me at that moment. These horns here, pretty special deer. My son Blaze is going to show you this deer again. Just a crap buck. So, but good bases. He ended up being 7.5 years old when my boy killed him, and this is his first ever animal with archery equipment, first ever bow animal, and so it's not always about the size or the score. To us, a lot of times it's about the age and maturity, and he caught up with that deer the next year. Everybody's got to start somewhere. This is my first ever whitetail buck. I shot him with a gun. High school, I don't know what I was, maybe 15, 16 years old, and I think that's the smallest one I ever killed too. I kind of moved on up from there. So. Illinois buck here. I shot this one with a bow late season in Illinois. It was the target that, the farm I was on. That's what the guy wanted me to shoot. So pretty happy to bring that home to shoot it with archery equipment. I believe it was January 13th I killed this deer, and to shoot with one with a bow that late in the year, guess I was happy with that. This is the Egyptian 10, we called him. He got broke up. He actually got hit by a semi, so we found him dead, and again got a salvage tag for him, but brought him home. Had a lot of history with that deer. These are sheds from 2019 deer. When I say 19, the year they had their rack on them. Pretty good 9 we were chasing. Had a cool. He got chewed off, but had a cool little drop kicker thing there. So nothing real big in there. Just a lot of really solid deer that we caught up with some of them this year. You'll see some pictures, but we killed some of those in 2020. So going on to this. This is Brady's deer. He shot this year, getting ready for a head mount. I'll pass it off Brady. Let him talk about it.
So this is the first deer I've killed in Iowa in, I think it's been 7 years. I went in real early that morning to the back of the farm and climbed up in a tree, got in real quiet, and it was a cold morning. It was Friday the 13th. I got in like an hour and a half before sunrise and had a slow morning. Sun came up, seen a couple deer. We got a cell camera on the back of that farm back there, and he'd got a picture of a deer. I think it was at 1 o'clock in the morning, and it was a pretty good deer, probably mid-40s. And about 2 hours after the sun was up, he actually came into a rattle, and I had him about 45 yards, and I just couldn't get a shot at him, couldn't get him stopped. Finally, about noon, I think, I texted you, wind was about to shift, and I said, I got to get down and move. And I was kind of sitting on the edge of a bedding, so got down, walked the creek, had to walk all the way around. It took me an hour and a half to move stands, and I didn't have to move very far at all. But I finally climbed up in the stand at 2 o'clock or 1:59, and I wasn't in the stand 30 seconds, and he had come running out and came out to 40 yards and killed him right there. He only ran about 60 yards and piled up.
Another deer that we get 3 years of him here, I guess. We've got his 3-year-old sheds, his 4-year-old sheds, and then we found him dead at what we believe was his 5-year-old. Again, got a salvage tag for him, and can't remember we put tape on him. Doesn't really matter what he scores, but just a really beautiful 8. That pretty massive. Got a salmon, my first time, had to put him up here. Got some good buddies that hunt here with me, and they took me salmon fishing on Lake Michigan, and was lucky enough to catch that for my first fish, and they tell me it's a good one, so we put it on the wall. Got a bunch of pictures in here. A lot of our deer end up leaving in somebody else's truck, so like people come hunt with us. So we'll talk about some of these deer that are pretty special to us. Well, there's almost all these deer are special to us, so I'll try to keep it short, but we got Steve here. Steve's a really good guy. He's hunted here with me 2 times and killed a 181 and a 182, both with archery equipment. I'd say he's maybe the luckiest guy I know. But my son got you'll see this deer later. He's got him in his room. That's his first ever out-of-state hunt. Went to Illinois, shot a great buck there. Bad Santa. This is a heck of a deer. This is a deer we named Bad Santa. Actually, a good close friend of mine had pictures of him as well. He had named him Bad Santa. We had another name for him. I don't remember what it was. Bad Santa stuck. So lucky enough to find his sheds from what we believed to be his 4-year. The deer at 4 years old, and then we caught up with him at 5. The deer went in the mid to upper 180s. Well, it's hard to tell from the picture. He's only 14 inches wide, and so really just a tight, compact, really cool deer. 17 scoreable points on him. It was a fun day pulling him out. I'll never forget it. I missed the election or voting because that was 2016 Trump versus Hillary. So we won that day, I guess, and more than one way. My daughter, Peyton, is a rather special. This was just this year. Late muzzleloader. It was actually after the first of the year. It was getting down towards the end of the season. This is our middle daughter, Peyton, and me and my wife have 5 children. And this is our middle daughter. This is her first ever animal. Peyton's actually has a lot of physical disabilities, so it was always a dream of mine to get her on a deer. And didn't know when it would happen, but it all came together, and it was a rather special day. So. The Trombley family, can't talk enough about them. Great people. 3 brothers, great friends with all of them. This is his, special deer for him. That's his lifetime deer. As of now, hopefully we get him a bigger one in the future. But this one here, probably ain't got nobody that's ever hunted more time in a seat and spent more hours out in the woods to get a deer, and he made it worth it. I mean, heck of a great deer. So my farmer buddy Scott, can't say enough about this guy. I enjoy every minute that we spend with Scott. He's killed, I'm thinking the guy maybe has a bigger deer that he's killed up in Wisconsin, but nonetheless killed a really great deer down here, so with us. So the other deer is Steve's, the guy that killed the 2 180s. This deer here, really special to us. This was the year that, the first year that really started taking a couple guys hunting with me, and didn't know what I was doing with photography. As you can tell, the tongue's hanging out. Not a good picture, but that's an 8-pointer that grosses 173, and just a giant of a deer. I mean, an awesome deer. All right, got a picture here of me and my father. Obviously, for most people, that's the reason a guy gets into hunting, and grew up doing a lot of small game hunting, a lot of mainly pheasant, quail, and I got the deer bug, so got Dad to go deer hunting this particular day with me. My dad will still deer hunt a little bit. I got a project there. I got to get him a big one someday, a real good one. But a couple decent bucks here, nice bucks. We happened to shoot these the same day. It's got a story in itself. We were after one of these was actually wounded. It had a bad leg on him, and he stood up in front of me. I shot him, put him down. At the same time, this other deer runs by my dad, and he thinks I had shot and missed, so he put his deer down too. Of course, we, thank goodness we had tags. We each had a tag, but so it was a neat day, great memory right there, and got another picture of got a picture up here too of me and my dad, and this is a fun day. This is 3 generations, me and my boy Blaze, and me and my dad there doing some bird hunting. So a lot of memories. Let me show you around in here. We got this is kind of the second living room. Got some sheds in here. Got some heads. First of all, I guess we can look at this wall. This is my little western wall, I'll call it. My first ever elk I shot. Always wanted to do it with a bow. Went out west twice with a bow, kind of do it yourself, public land. And then with some connections, the guys hunting with me, got out to a private ranch, and they talked me into a muzzleloader, and which I'm glad they did. But anyways, they shot this bull at 31 yards with a muzzleloader, and kind of wished I had a bow in my hand just because that's who I am. But nonetheless, he was screaming, bugling, tongue out. And what a memory, I'll never forget that. So the rest of the animals on that wall actually belong to a really dear friend of mine. The family, Doyle here, has since passed. And when he did, his son called me and said, "Hey," he said, "we got all Dad's heads, and what do you think about bringing them out and putting them in the lodge?" And I says, "Boy, that'd be an honor." So he's got a pretty impressive mule deer there, obviously, and it's rather fitting that his heads are here. And we got a little wall for him there. So moving on to some of these other heads, I'll talk about this guy here. This is a deer I shot with my bow. Maybe one of the last deer I've killed. I haven't killed a deer in Iowa for like 10 years. I'm more about growing them and finding sheds than I am about killing them anymore. But that was a fun morning sit. I guess I was in the right spot, nice deer, and actually was hunting a pretty top end deer, maybe getting a little frustrated with the chase, and this guy come through. I thought, well, let's be done for the year. So this deer here is he's got a broken brow tine on him there. That's my first ever archery buck. Right about that time, I think I was 17 years old. You guys had seen the other small rack I'd killed with a gun. And then really I started like, hey, I got a bow hunt, and or want a bow hunt, and so maybe it was a couple 2-3 years of not killing anything with a bow, a lot of missed opportunities and learning, just self-learning, and finally caught up with this guy, first archery kill, and yeah, it's a great deer. It'll always be special to me, obviously. So this deer here is actually a really good buddy of mine, Mac. He shot it right close here on our farm. He's always just hung him in here because he killed him on the farm. I probably should call him someday. I'm sure he wants it. So great buck though. I can't beat those brow tines, obviously. So this deer here I killed with a gun here. in Iowa. Believe it or not, I passed that deer twice with a bow. Just didn't know him. He showed up in season, ended up during gun season, got to know the deer a little more, a few more cameras. Says, okay, if I see him again, I'm going to take him. And even though I shot him with a gun, pretty cool story because I actually spotted him bedded from like 400 yards away. And it took me most of the morning and closed the gap to about 161, somewhere in there, and got him shot with a shotgun, you know. So it was a neat story behind that deer. That deer there comes from Nebraska. I told you I'd show you my Nebraska deer. I had to. I was just really blessed to come out with anything decent with horns on it, to be honest. We looked at so many deer in Nebraska, and everything was shed, and we were finding sheds. Finally found a scrape that had been freshened up, smelled a little estrus in the area. And I thought, boy, this is where I'm going to hunt, because if something's going to have horns, it's going to be right here, and caught up with that guy. So, believe it or not, rattled that deer in. I think it was December 22nd, and after I smelled that estrus and stuff, says, well, there's, they got to be fighting over her. And I rattled that deer in the middle of the day, and that time in December, and I guess it worked. So, I gotta take a peek at this shed here. This was, I think now this is my third biggest shed, but it laid out there. I walked past this thing a couple years. I was actually brushing a ground blind in, raking away some debris and brush and a fence rail. Had a good buddy with me, and kind of bummed I walked past it, got ate up, broke up a little, but actually didn't really even know the deer. Just a heck of a horn to find. So I guess I got to talk about these. These are actually my two. That's my number 1 and number 2 horn. So not a whole lot of significance here, unfortunately. The deer didn't know, just showed up, dropped his horns, and just a phantom. Never really seen him again. So I wish there was a cooler story to it. There's not, other than they're just big antlers. So Bad Santa. We talked about Bad Santa already. He's like I said, he's a real tight. He kind of sat on his head like that. He was 14 when we killed him. He was 14 and 5/8 wide or something like that. But it's pretty cool brow tines on him. Very lucky to find both his horns. The one was easy to find. The other one not so much. It was only, I think these horns only laid 150 yards apart, but some tall native grass CRP that I had a hunch this one was laying in. And we looked, and I looked, and I looked. Finally, one day, conditions are right. I threw a match in it, burned it off, and lo and behold, there it was. So, before you guys take off, we're gonna head up to our house. Blaze's got a couple heads in his room that are special to us. I'm gonna show you those. Tell you a couple of stories about them.
How's it going? I'm Blaze Maas. I'm Austin's son, and this is my room. It's pretty full. Looking for some more room. If I get another head, I don't know where I'm gonna put it, honestly, but. This is my first deer I ever killed. I was 7 years old and 167 yards with a 20 gauge shotgun. So I was pretty ecstatic, and took us a while to find him. We were trapped in the blind for a while. Deer were between us and the truck, but we got him, and I was pretty happy. And next year later, 8 years old, I killed this deer, 180 yards with a muzzleloader. I was really happy. Couldn't believe I shot that far, and took some tracking. Actually tracked him for 3 or 4 hours. It was pretty difficult, but we got him. Went dry. I had about 3 or 4 years I didn't kill a deer, and I killed this deer. We were trying to hunt him the year before, and he had a big double beam, as you guys seen earlier at the lodge, and he came back a clean 10, got a perfect shot on him, and died right in the food plot. And we knew the deer, so there's a cool story behind it and all, and we were ecstatic. And same year, I went down to one of our good buddy Kevin's farm and killed this deer late season with a crossbow, actually. It was, I think the actual temp was like -20 that week, so you weren't going to get it done with a compound. Used the crossbow, shot him at like 35 yards. That is my best buck score-wise. He tops out at like 153. This deer is actually, I killed this deer in youth season, and this hide actually belongs to this deer. I shot this deer in youth season 2 years ago, and we didn't find him for about a week and a half. We found him in a creek bottom, and he was all eaten up by coyotes and stuff, and there was none of the hide left, and we were kind of wondering what to do. I was going to do a skull mount, and then I killed this deer about 3 weeks later with my bow. It's actually my first ever archery kill. 7.5 years old, had pictures of him forever, and figured you got to start somewhere for archery. So shot a pretty good call buck, good management buck for the farm, got him out of the herd, and then I used his hide to get on that deer, and took a while, but I've been building up my room.
Thanks for coming. We got some farming to do, so see you later.